Okay, we're ready to go. The one thing COVID has taught me is that I need to upgrade my computer. So today, welcome everyone. We have Riki Barton with us from the Community Partnership of the Ozarks, and she is the Director of Prevention. And we're going to talk a little bit about coalition work and how COVID has impacted that. So thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
It's good to see you. How many coalitions do you serve approximately?
We have about 25 coalitions across our 21 county region.
Okay, and I assume that they all look different like most coalitions do.
Indeed, they do. Yes, some are, really active and thriving, and others are struggling, especially during this COVID that has created a bump for everyone. But yes, they all look different. They all address different topics and are kind of at different stages of community readiness.
So tell me a little bit about some of the challenges that your coalitions have faced because of COVID.
Yeah, COVID has really, like I said, created some bumps in the road for our coalitions. The biggest one is meetings, right? Because we are not supposed to be meeting in person, or when we do, they need to be, socially distanced and have those appropriate, considerations taken into with masking and food and all of that. And everybody loves to come and eat at coalition meetings. So that has, of course, created some bumps there. So the meeting issue has been probably the biggest one. But additionally, I think one of the more rooted issues is just that because so many organizations that come to coalition meetings had to change their priorities during COVID, it's kind of taken prevention on the side, and it's kind of put this issue of prevention as this kind of, we'll get to that when we get to it, because it's not this major pressing issue. Whereas making sure that we're getting, barriers up between clerks and customers, all of those things have taken that priority. It has made prevention kind of be sidelined. And that's kind of the most disappointing impact that it's had, is that it's just not the shiny thing to talk about at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're more worried about health prevention, like general health, than specific substance use. Even though I was on a call this morning and they were talking about substance use and mental health and suicide on the rise. So I hope we'll circle back once we get all of the health issues figured out. So how did your coalitions get creative with the meetings and things like that?
I mean, Zoom, just like what we're on right now, right? Zoom is one of the solutions that we have found. There's also several others like Google Meet and, various different platforms. We've also used Microsoft Teams for a lot of different things. So video conferencing and having these meetings so that people can stay in their offices or their homes. If they're working from home, they can still join and meet. I actually just got out of a coalition meeting that had about 10 people on the Zoom call and about 8 people in the room. And so that was a really neat experience to be able to see that sort of representation still coming to the table to talk about prevention. So certainly the virtual aspect has had to get creative, and a lot of the prevention efforts that we've done have also had to get creative. So, offering presentations we might have done in person through that virtual platform. We do Generation RX presentations. We have a vaping curriculum. And so we've started to offer those online or even our Narcan administration trainings. They've all moved kind of this virtual option, which is great. We would hope that would reduce barriers and we might have more participation in those kind of events because someone can just click from their computer or their phone. But even that's been a struggle. And I think that goes back to the struggle of it not really being a top priority or top of mind, at least for a lot of people. And so one of our bigger challenges that we've been working creatively to address is just to keep prevention efforts at the forefront. So one of the things we did at Community Partnership, you mentioned the suicide rates, we created little mental health moment videos that we advertised on Facebook and several other different social media platforms, where it was just a quick snippet of a minute about taking a minute for your mental health, whether that was about gardening or journaling or exercise or, going to a therapy. We talked about some of those more self-help and other support strategies that people can do during this time to help protect their mental health and make that self-care a priority, because we knew that people maybe weren't thinking of that. It wasn't top of mind for them. And so we've been trying to offer people small little wins and solutions for this strange time when we are more distant from friends and family. We don't get that personal interaction. I'm a hugger, so, miss hugging people and being able to be around people in that way. And so it certainly makes a big difference. And so we've just been trying to offer small little wins in prevention, as opposed to kind of tackling these bigger, chunks of maybe a policy that needs to pass. Sure, it still needs to pass, but our policymakers are currently very focused on other things. And so, yeah, just trying to adjust with the times and stay creative in those ways.
That's kind of why I started doing these little snippets, because it was like just a way to connect people and just get little bites of information out to folks. Where could they find those what'd you call them, mental health moments?
Moments, yeah. So at Community Partnerships Facebook page, you'll find that under the media tab with our videos. You'll find all of them there, or also on our YouTube channel, which is CP Ozarks on YouTube. So yeah, it's a very unique thing. And as you know, probably there's, take back events coming up later this month. And so that's kind of a unique situation too, because it involves kind of person-to-person contact. But we have been working with our coalition, at least here in Greene County, and I know Taney County is doing something very similar, where they're going to have a drive-through. So they'll have to be masked while they drive up and lower their window, and someone masked will come and retrieve that medication for them in that bin. And so, we're just adjusting and trying to make sure that all of our information is relevant to the current guidelines that local ordinances have, and just try and stay in touch with those. We're also finding this is a unique time for us. And so several of our coalitions are actually working on building their capacity in terms of membership at the table. So they are working on actively recruiting, and especially from a diversity and inclusive point of view. So working to find maybe the sectors of the community or individuals and groups and subpopulations in the community that aren't represented on the coalition. And they're working really hard to build that capacity of people, so that when we do kind of get, I hate to say back to normal, because I don't know if normal is going to be normal anymore, but when we get back to in-person meetings and really tackling some of these more environmental strategies, we've got more people at the table who can speak from those populations and those vantage points in order to be able to help us do prevention even better. So that's a neat thing that our coalitions in our region have been focusing on lately too.
That's great. Our coalitions are so resilient in Missouri, and they've always been creative. And I love that they're paving new ways of prevention, and that they're also taking this time to look at their makeup of who's at the table and to do further planning, because this is the perfect time to do it. You're right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think that's about it for today. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it, and have a good afternoon.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.